channel where Jelly Bean is going to guest star. What's that? Oh, okay, he says that it's his show and I'm the guest star. So let me know in the comments below which way it is, because I'm confused. So I have already filmed this footage. Well, not this footage because I'm really redoing it, but this video, and there was no sound at all. So we are refilming. This is going to be my super late December wrap up. In December, I read 18 books, and I DNF'd one book for a grand total of 19 books that we are going to be talking about. So I participated. Wow, words. I participated in Bookmas this year. My reading year ended at the end of November, so anything that I read in December is going to count for 2022's reading year, because I did all of my best of, worst of, most disappointing, and everything before I read all these books. I am going to change how I do wrap-ups. In this wrap-up, it's going to be kind of just a chill video where I'm going to go in order from my least favorite to my most favorite books. So we will end on a positive note. I am also going to try and do this particular wrap-up in speed mode. We will see how that works. Just because I've already filmed it and I went to edit it, and it just, that angers me sometimes. It very much disappoints me when that happens. So I'm going to go from my least favorite to my most favorite. So I should start with the one DNF that I have. So at the beginning of December, Michael and I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and I DNF'd it almost at the halfway mark. I found that it was very predictable, and I have DNF'd both The Hunting Party and The Guest List by this author. Her writing is just not for me, and that's okay. I know that a lot of people really love her mystery thrillers. I just find them anticlimactic and very boring. Then let's go to the 1 stars. I have 2 1 stars. I am, even if I have 2 of the same rating, I'm going to try and put them, tell you the worst one and then the better, and kind of order them, even if they're the same rating. My first 1 star book was definitely the worst book that I finished in December, and that is Jay's Gay Agenda by Jason June. This book, okay, I went into this book thinking that it's LGBT rep and that there's a list aspect, which I normally really love. This list aspect was on every other page, so I was rereading the same thing. And honestly, Jay was just obsessed with male genitalia. He just wanted some. He wanted to see someone else's. He wanted to do stuff with other males, which is fine. I like the LGBT rep, but it was very repetitive, and that's all Jay wanted. That was it. He had no other dimensions to him. It was just that one thing that he wanted, and it was like tunnel vision just to get that in his life. And then another thing that really, really, really rubbed me the wrong way with that book was that I was expecting like a sweet coming of age, maybe finding love book. And what I got was a very unlikable character who cheats and cheats and cheats and doesn't learn his lesson. And I was just over it. And nope, that book rubbed me the wrong way. It really reminded me of 99 Days by Katie Katogno. I mean, it's not LGBT, but it's about a main character who cheats over and over and over and learns absolutely nothing. The next 1-star book is probably gonna get me some hate, so please leave the hate on your side, please. I did not like Mexican Gothic. I gave it 1 star. I was hearing that it was like this really slow burn horror and it's scary, and nothing surprised me about this book. It's very, very slow. It's very boring. And I think by the end, when stuff starts getting crazy and stuff starts coming out about what's been going on, I just didn't care. I had lost interest, and I was just trying to get through the book more just to finish it. Let's just shake off all the bad mojo. Move on to 2 stars, which is not terrible, but I still didn't like these books. We're going to start with an e-arc that I had on NetGalley. The Couple in Number 9 by Claire Douglas. I signed up for this thriller that I thought was going to be like psychological thriller and very action-packed and everything. It was just every cliche and thrillers just vomited onto the page, and it was very, very slow and very anticlimactic. And honestly, I just read this a couple weeks ago, and it's very, very forgettable. Going with that same theme of nothing happening, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is another one that was very, very hyped. And I adore Grady Hendrix. I've read a lot of his books, and usually they're like 4 or 5 stars for me. I really enjoy them. This one was just very misleading because the title of the book is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And it was very misleading, and it was about a book club, but it was very, very boring. And the thing is that this book is about this book club of women who think their neighbor is a vampire. They come across this information that he's a vampire. And when they go to tell their husbands or do something about it, everyone says that they are crazy and don't take them seriously, and then the accusations of him being a vampire just disappear into thin air, and no one ever says anything about it, and then it's like 5 years later. That is so not realistic, although I do see how weird it is that I'm calling a vampire book not realistic and hating it. I just did not like anything about this book, really. I was expecting a really, really fun time, and yeah, no, it wasn't even scary. There was one part that scared me that I loved, so that's why I got 1 star, but it was like the attic scene, you know, if you've read it, you know. That was terrifying, but otherwise, like, again, I just lost interest. So I gave it 2 stars. Did I say 1 star? I think I said 1 star. I gave it 2 stars because it had potential, but it just didn't go anywhere for me. And I just, no. Okay, then my last 2-star book. Finally, my last negative one. Kinda, because at least the rest I at least somewhat like. Fallen by T.J. Newman. So this started off so action-packed, so good. It follows this pilot whose family has been kidnapped, and his orders were to crash the plane that you are on in order to get his family back. And it's supposed to be like this epic thrill ride of, oh my god, is he going to crash the plane? Is he not? I found it very anticlimactic and like nothingness. And that has been my problem the entire month of December. Like, just so boring, so nothing, just nothing. The first, I want to say like the first 50 pages are setting it up so well, and I love the setup. Like, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can get behind this book. I'm going to love this book. And then it just disappointed me so badly. Okay, shake it off one more time. Okay, we're on our 3-star books, which are like, they're okay. I didn't hate them, but I didn't really love them either. They're just like middle of the road books, you know. You can take it, you can leave it, kind of thing. I had a lot of 3-star books. I had 4 of them. We are moving on to my 3-star books. I honestly don't think any of the 3-star books I read were bad or just kind of like, eh. I just think that in all 4 instances, the particular book was not for me as a reader. It wasn't something that I enjoy, but I definitely see potential in these books to be like 5-star reads for the right reader. So let's just start with The Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I think I fell into the hype on this one because everyone is reading it, and it's this forbidden romance full of smut, and I just don't think that I'm a huge smut reader, and that's okay. That's fine. I felt weird about the relationship because you follow Pike and Jordan is Pike's son's girlfriend. So Pike is the dad, and they move into his house when Pike's son gets arrested and they lose their house, so they all move in together, and then there's like this instant attraction between Pike and Jordan, and it felt real, and it felt wrong because they were trying to fight their feelings for each other, and that part felt real to me. But it just, I don't know, I just didn't love it. And this is definitely a case of the book is great. There's really nothing wrong with the book. I just don't think I was the right reader for it. And I don't think I'm going to be picking up any more Penelope Douglas. The next 3-star read, we are kind of changing directions a lot. We are going from a smutty adult book to adventurous middle grade book. So I read Undercover Princess. I read Undercover Princess by Connie Glynn, and it was a perfectly fun book. It was full of heart and adventure, and it was cute. So it's about like this private boarding school where these 2 girls start on the same day, and somehow one of them confuses them, and she thinks that the ordinary girl is a princess and that the princess is the ordinary girl. And it's about friendship and, kind of, it's adorable. I really, really enjoyed it. It was cute. I just think that it didn't resonate with me because I'm almost 30 years old, and, I just thought, oh yeah, that's cute. But I didn't really want to live it, which is fine, but I think if I were the right age for that book, I would have ate that book up. I would have loved it. And there's nothing wrong with it. It was just a me thing. Along with The Dating Plan by Sarah Dessy, it was a perfectly fine book as well. It was like fake dating, which is my favorite trope. It was about like a computer programmer, and it was like nerd love, and it was so freaking adorable. But I just felt like it was missing something, and I can't tell you what it was missing because I really did enjoy the book. I just don't think that Sarah Dessy's writing is for me, or that book in particular was my cup of tea. The last 3-star book that I read in the month of December is Dare Me by Megan Abbott. This one I didn't love. Like, it had potential because it follows like these cheerleaders in high school, and then there's some kind of murder, and it was really, really gripping, and parts of it was kind of chilling, and I really did enjoy the writing, and I really enjoyed all of it. Minus one thing. There is a coach who is my age, and like I said, I'm almost 30, and she, like, you have to have a line between being a professional teacher and what you do outside of school. Yes, she's a coach, not a teacher, but I still feel that her job is to be a role model to her students. And I guess just as a teacher, this rubbed me the wrong way because she hangs out with 15, 16-year-olds outside of the cheering competitions and outside of the cheer practice, and she does some very not good things with her 16-year-old students, and she's like 27, 28 years old. And for me, that just didn't feel realistic. I know that happens sometimes, that maybe you become friends, but it was the fact that she was giving them alcohol and doing some very illegal and wrong things with these children. Because yes, they're 16 and 15 years old, but they are still children. And that is not okay with me. So I think that was kind of part of the point of the book at this point, but it still rubbed me the wrong way that I don't think that's something I'm ever going to look for in a book. Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. We're getting to the 4 stars. The first 4-star book that I have is 96 Words for Love by Rachel Roy and Ava Dash. This was a really cute coming-of-age novel. So this girl's grandma dies, and she basically sends her nieces on this scavenger hunt. Her granddaughters on this scavenger hunt to India, where I loved all the culture, and I loved the friendship between the cousins, and everything that happened in the book was really, really cute. I enjoyed it a lot. Maybe there's a love story in there, but I really loved the aspect of grief and the coming of age parts of this book and the culture. House Guest by Megan Miranda, and that's my first book by Megan Miranda. I really, really enjoyed this novel. I thought that it was kinda predictable. Kinda. I didn't expect what happened at the very end, but other things in between I felt was very predictable. So you follow this girl whose best friend committed suicide a year before, and it's dual timeline, so you get the year she killed herself and the year after. And it's like small town beachy vibes, but this friend, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. I think her name was Avery, but I could be wrong. Avery thinks that Sadie didn't kill herself because she knows Sadie and Sadie wouldn't do that. And so it's this whole mystery of her trying to figure out what really happened to Sadie. And it was very, very good. The reasoning behind it was so mind-blowing. And I only gave it 4 stars instead of 5 for one reason, which is the fact that I thought it read more like a young adult. So maybe it's not really even the book's fault, but it's classified as an adult book. It should be a young adult. It reads more like a young adult. The rest of my reads were 5 stars. 6 5-star books. Oh my gosh. 7! I almost missed one. 7 5-star books. So I'm going to start with Far From You by Tess Sharp. I really, really loved this book. So it's about this girl who almost dies twice. The first time she was in a car accident and she gets prescribed Oxy. And she becomes addicted to Oxy. So she's fighting a drug addiction. When the second time she almost dies, her best friend is shot right in front of her. And it seems like it was a drug deal gone wrong. So it seems like this girl basically got her best friend killed. And you are following the mystery of, well, you are following her as a drug addict today, dealing with her best friend's death, but you are also flashing back to the car accident and her being prescribed Oxy and basically getting addicted to it. So you have the dual timelines going on, and the drug addiction part, that just hit me so close to home. This was a very, very powerful book. It's very emotional, so don't take it lightly. And there are trigger warnings for drug addiction, suicidal thoughts, and mental health and drug... I already said that. So just be wary going into this one. The next 5-star book that I have is The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. And my friend Michael told me to read this a long time ago. And I didn't listen because I never listen. But it starts with this girl killing someone. And she tells you that she's a serial killer. And she's only 17 years old. And it was great reading from a 17-year-old female's serial killer perspective. And you learn what made her turn into the serial killer and what things go on in her mind. And it was just great because I love learning about serial killers. And yes, this is fiction, I think. But it was so much fun being inside her mind. Kind of like being inside Joe's mind from You. I didn't love You, but I didn't love You, the book by Caroline Kepnes, but I loved being inside Joe's mind because he's psycho. And I just got that feeling with the female of the species. I just got that psychopath and what makes her tick. And it was so much fun. I loved it. I read The Heart Principle by Helen Wong, and I really, really enjoyed this one. So, The Heart Principle is the third in a companion novel series by this author. All of her books have autism rep because she's autistic, and I just thought this was done so beautifully. It was not exactly what I was expecting because the other books in this series were just lighthearted romances, and this one was more grief-driven. It was hard-hitting, and it wasn't what I was expecting going into it, but I really, really, really enjoyed it. So we have a visitor. This is Bella Boo. I bet you she just wants up on the bed and she's using me. Yep, so we have 4 more books left to talk about. We are going to talk about Rescue by Michael Heath. I won this on Goodreads giveaway, and I tabbed that book so much, which I don't tab books ever. But this book made me feel things. So you follow 4 different perspectives. You follow Roger, who is a ex-con. He's a felon. And he has to check in with his parole officer, and he talks from the very beginning about having morals and about how he wouldn't do that kind of thing, like lying or stealing or something like that. And it's interesting because he's a felon, but why is he a felon if he has all these morals? And then you follow a pit bull who is chained up outside his house, who is neglected. Then you follow old corgi who is basically too old to be in the pound. She's in a homeless shelter. She's in the pound, but no one wants old dogs, and so they think that she's just gonna die in the shelter, and it is so hard to read at times. And the 4th perspective is a little chihuahua who was born in a puppy mill, and he describes the puppy mill so well, and it's like I'm living in that puppy mill with him, and the abuse and the neglect that he goes through is like what I'm going through as I read it. So this book was like 350 pages approximately, and I read it in one night. I stayed up and just read that book. That is all I did. I had other plans. I was going to clean and yeah, right. No. It was so gripping that I could not put it down. It was gripping and emotional and raw and tender and perfect. I love the commentary about pit bulls being bad dogs, about all felons are not trustworthy, and like how society perceives felons and pit bulls and older dogs, and like it was just woven together so perfectly to make this impactful story that just like shattered my soul and broke my heart. But if you're new around here, then you don't know that I love books that make me feel things. And this book made me feel things. So it is very, very underhyped. If you have not picked up this book or this author, please do. You will not regret it. Okay, let's get on to... Well, okay, we have one happy book. The rest are thrillers. So... my last book before... Okay, my 3rd favorite book was Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was a really, really fun, grumpy sunshine romance. So, in this book, Chloe Brown is the grump, and the sunshine is red. And, they like hate each other at first. So it's like hate to love, which is something that I adore. And what made this book so impactful for me, so good, was the fact that Chloe Brown has fibromyalgia, and she's a person of color. She's an author of color, and her main character is of color, and the author, Talia Hibbert, actually has fibromyalgia, and I've never seen fibromyalgia representation in a book before, and that's something that's just very close to my heart. So I thought that it was an exceptional book. It did get a little smutty for me, a little too much, but we talked about, how the smutty books are not for me, but it was nearly perfect book. Okay, and then the last two, my top two favorite books of December are both thrillers, and I never give thrillers 5 stars. Never. Usually they're like 3 or 4 stars. They are probably my most read genre. I'm going to keep track of the genres that I read, and we'll have like a pie chart at the end of the year, because I would love to see what my actual most read genre is. I think it's thrillers, but I guess we'll see. But they're both thrillers, and they're both 5 stars, and they're both amazing. And I read them back to back. Number 2 is The Collective by Allison Galen. This was such a great book about revenge. So this follows a group of moms who are dealing with the fact that their child is gone. Their child has been murdered or has died, and they blame someone else. And these moms don't have justice for their kids. So they get together to seek out revenge on these people that caused their child's death. And I thought that our main character made some very stupid choices, but they were somewhat justified, and I definitely did not see the ending coming, so that's what bumped it from like a 4-star to, oh my god, what? I knew something was gonna happen, but that ending was not what I was expecting. I buddy read this with Amanda, and I'm pretty sure she really liked it. I think I liked it more than her, though. But oh my goodness. And then the number 1 book of December is The Chain by Adrienne McKinney, I believe. This one might surprise you. Actually, my top 2 might surprise you because it involves like kids getting hurt, which is weird because I always say that I can't read those. But The Chain is this chain of kidnappings. So someone kidnaps your daughter when she's on her way to school, and they call you and say, okay, in order to get your child back, you must send this much ransom and kidnap the next child. Click. So what do? Are you gonna cause the next person their worst nightmare by kidnapping their child? Or are you gonna call the police and potentially harm your child because this person found out that you called the police? Who is behind the chain of kidnappings? How long have they been going on? Everything about the chain is surprising and devastating and chilled me. I'm not even a mom. I mean, I'm a teacher, so maybe that's why it scared me so bad. But my heart was pounding, and I'm just like, no! And, oh my gosh. Like, in one aspect, you really are rooting for her to kidnap the next kid so that she gets her kid back. But in a lot of ways, you're like, no, do not. Don't get to that level. And it was twisted and psychological, and the mind games this book played with me. And then, like, I did not suspect the person. So, you do find out who is responsible for it. And, I was somewhat surprised, but I kind of saw it coming at the same time, too. If you've read it, then you know. But if you haven't, I would highly, highly recommend it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you've read any of these books, please let me know in the comments below. If I've encouraged you to read any of these, please let me know in the comments below. Also, tell me what you're reading right now.